now we are in Chapter 5, Section 3, dealing with solving quadratic equations by factoring. We're going over, once again, how to factor polynomials. On problem number 7, you'll notice that we have r cubed, we have an r squared, and we have an r right here. So in every single term, we have an r. So the very first thing you would do on problem number 7 is you actually need to factor out an r. So to factor out an r, if I factor out an r out of an r cubed, you're left with r squared. If I factor an r out of an r squared, you're left with 3r. If I factor an r out of a negative 54r, I'm left with negative 54. So that's the first step, is factoring an r out of that polynomial. The next thing you need to look for is you need to look for two numbers that add up to 3 and two numbers that multiply together to equal a negative 54. But my hint or advice to everybody is always start with the factors of the last number. So the factors of a 54 are 1 and 54, 2 and 27, 3 and 18, 6 and 9. Now, you are searching for two numbers that add together to equal a positive 3, but those same two numbers multiply together to equal a negative 54. Yeah, we'll say that again, Blue. So this is the one that's going to work, right? But Shane, you said more specifically what? Negative 6 and positive 9. Negative 6 and positive. Here's what? Negative 6 and a positive 9 gets us to the 3. Now, where the heck did I get the 3 from? I got the 3. No, not from your house. From in front of the r value. So the numbers have to add up to equal the middle coefficient, and they have to multiply to equal the last coefficient. So here's your final answer for number 7. R times r minus 6 times r plus 9. These factors, when multiplied together, equal this product up here. They will equal that polynomial if we multiply them together. That's problem number 7. Now, we're going to skip problem number 8, which is slightly more difficult. We're going to go directly to problem 9 and 12. Both of these, everybody, are what's considered to be a difference of squares. Okay? These are a difference of squares. Now, you guys should be able to recognize this because we just talked about a difference of squares. All right? We're looking for two numbers that multiply together to equal that negative 49, and two numbers that add together to equal a whole lot of what? A whole lot of nothing. And what are those two numbers? 7 and negative 7. Very good. 7 and negative 7. So we're going to put C minus a 7 and C plus 7. Just so you guys know, it doesn't matter which order you do. You could do C plus 7 and C minus 7. But these are the factors, all right, of C squared minus 49. Because if you multiply those together, Blue, you get that. All right? Now, we're not going to go over the FOIL method right now. That's a totally different section. All right? We'll call that section Algebra 1. Now, we have b to the 4th minus 81. Ooh, is 81 a perfect square? Yes, it is. So we can factor this, everybody. We know we're going to have what? We're going to have a plus 9 here and a minus 9 here. But wait a second. It's not b squared. It's b to the 4th. So you got to put a b squared here and a b squared there. Because b squared times b squared is b to the 4th. Wait a second. We're not done. We're not? No. Because this one cannot be factored. However, the b squared minus 9 can be factored even further. What is b squared minus 9 factored to? B plus something and b minus something. 3, that's right. B plus 3 and? Because there's no two numbers, okay? There's no two numbers that add together to equal 0 and multiply together to equal equal a 9. There's no numbers, no real numbers. Okay, there's some imaginary numbers that work, but there's no real numbers that add together to equal a 0. If you have two numbers that add together to equal 0, what do you have to have? You got to have a negative, right? And you got to have a positive. So you can make it a negative 9, but you can't make it a positive 9. That's why this one can't be factored. That was a great question. You probably helped somebody out there in the world. All right. We have a couple of minutes left before. Ooh, I bet you guys can do number 11. Look at number 11. Is this another difference of squares?
Yeah.
We did this one? That's not, this is the difference of squares. By the way, you're going to have a plus and a minus 13 because the square root of 169 is 13. But we have a 16 what? R squared. So what's the square root of 16? 4. So you're just going to put a 4R in the front and another 4R. By the way, everybody, we're going to continue this tomorrow. We're going to do the more difficult factoring tomorrow. Okay? But what do you need to know? You need to know how to do the sum of squares. You need to know how to do the difference of squares. You'll have a great day.